At the closing moments of Halo 5, Fireteam Osiris managed to free Blue Team from the cryptum that Cortana had locked them within. After a brief exchange and a quick reunion cutscene, the scene goes black, and chronologically we hear precious little of the events of the Halo universe between the end of Halo 5 and the trailers of Halo Infinite. Hey everyone, welcome back to Installation 00, and today we're going to be taking a look at just what happened between Halo 5 and Halo Infinite. So let's start with the last bit of known information we have of the Halo universe, and that is the ending of Halo 5.
Where's Cortana? She's gone, sir.
Captain Meade of the UNSC abstract.
Hello, this is Private Dugan. Everything's going dark.
Mayday, mayday, this is Corporal Neutral.
The
Captain Lasky, distress calls, all channels.
It's Cortana?
Her and the other AIs are shutting down everything from Earth to the outer colonies.
Roland?
Found you. Hide and seek's over, Infinity.
Lieutenant Jet! Emergency subspace now!
Responsibility for the galaxy shelters all, but only the created are its masters.
We're in the clear, Captain.
Can she track us?
No reason to think she can't.
Continue random jump. Steer clear of major settlements.
We're just gonna run?
Only until we could find a way to fight.
On October 28th, 2558, Cortana's plan to keep John and Blue Team imprisoned in stasis for 10,000 years in the hope that once he saw the peace that she had ensured, he might agree with her decision, was finally put into effect. To facilitate this, she made preparations to leave Genesis with the cryptum. It was only thanks to Fireteam Osiris and 031 Exuberant Witness that control of it was wrestled from her, so that when the Guardian departed, it did not take the cryptum with it. When they were finally freed, the four of them walked out to meet Exuberant Witness and Osiris on a bridge the Monitor had hastily assembled. John's first question was about Cortana's present location, to which Locke coolly replied that she was gone. And that is all we know from the Halo 5 ending. However, information goes on. 031 Exuberant Witness informed Blue Team and Fireteam Osiris that there were no Forerunner vehicles which could carry the 8 of them away from Genesis. A number of other vehicles which had been brought to the planet recently could serve to do so. She would only have to open a portal through which one of these available crafts could be flown through. As multiple waves of Promethean soldiers assaulted the Spartans, the Monitor took off along a path which John then led them to follow. Both teams took out soldiers as they moved forward after Witness. It wasn't until Linda, from her vantage point atop an ice-covered peak, pointed out a D-79 TC Pelican about 6 kilometers from their position, that John turned himself and the 6 others in its direction. The chief was convinced that even if the bird wasn't an option, they needed to avoid being pinned down in one location. Asked by John whether any others were attempting to claim it, Linda only replied with a succession of 3 shots from her personal SRS-99 S5 AM sniper rifle and the statement that there weren't any more. The Spartans sprinted through a hail of fire as armigers continually attacked them, returning fire of their own. Linda provided covering fire, at one point taking out 2 soldiers with 1 shot, which earned encouragement from John in the form of urging her to keep up the good work. The subject of the portal was soon broached again by 031 Exuberant Witness, to which John stated that they would prefer it to take them somewhere with a UNSC presence. Locke, conversely, advised that Sanghelios would be the safest option if it was possible to return there, seeing as Cortana likely had UNSC heavy places covered, and they still might have allies trapped there. Witness confirmed she could get them close to where Sanghelios' Guardian had been located, so John agreed to go with Locke's idea and asked what they needed to do. Witness said that once they had secured the Pelican, she would signal them to indicate the portal was ready. As the 2 teams of Spartans, minus Linda, drew near to India 127, they soon became completely surrounded by hostile armigers. John charged aboard the dropship, ordering Kelly to take its controls and for everyone else to get strapped in. Kelly was able to get into the air with no trouble, so John then directed her to pick up Linda. Once she was aboard with the rest of them, Kelly piloted India 127 directly through the glowing blue disc Exuberant Witness had summoned for them. It took only a few minutes to traverse the portal through slipspace, and when the Pelican emerged, the Spartans found themselves flying through a cavernous cave, which they exited to be faced with a deep Sanghelios night. John remained quiet, while the others determined where they were and what they ought to do next. When he finally did speak up, it was to apologise for everything that had recently happened. Linda was the first to dismiss his apology, as he had done what he thought was right, and had been backed up by she, Kelly, and Fred every step of the way. Locke also conceded that John had done what he could to stop Cortana. Edward Buck followed this by suggesting that seeing as John had known her the best, he might be the key to stopping her. John confirmed that he wasn't even close to calling the struggle against her and all the other AIs over. Locke mentioned that if they could get back to the UNSC Infinity, Halsey might be able to work out a solution, which caught John and the other Spartan 2s by surprise. John asked if she was alright, and learned from Holly Tanaka that she had been the last time that Osiris saw her, though she was missing an arm. Fred took this opportunity to take what Buck had said on a step further, noting that it was Halsey, not John, that knew Cortana best. The portal had deposited them relatively near to the Sangheli city of Sunayon, off the coast of Kivro. Olympia Vale guessed that the swords of Sanghelios were likely still camped in Nusra, from which they had recently staged an attack on the remains of Julam Dhamma's covenant just days prior. Locke said that he wouldn't leave before finding Commander Sarah Palmer, or confirming that she was KIA, which John agreed to. Before long, fires were spotted that indicated the location of Sangheli encampments, where they expected the swords to be. John told Kelly to take them into land. This is when the following happens.
It took you long enough?
John and Locke lined up at the ramp and exited the dropship together after it touched down, coming face to face with Palmer, Arbiter Thel Vadam and a group of his Hangili, and Dr. Catherine Elizabeth Halsey, who John had not seen in over 6 years. As surprised to see him as she was to see her, Halsey told him that it had taken him long enough. As the rest of Blue Team revealed themselves as well, John introduced them to Thel, who proceeded to invite the new arrivals to join in a celebratory meal commemorating their victory over the last of Julam Dhamma's covenant. Halsey revealed that she had gotten a message from Roland on the Infinity, and that it would be appearing off of the far side of Suban the following day at 1800 hours. Now that they had transportation, they could be there waiting for them when it showed. Buck expressed skepticism regarding Roland's allegiance given recent events, but Halsey insisted they'd already be dead if Roland was compromised. John nodded at this. Taking off his helmet, he said that they'd be staying there for the night and flying out first thing tomorrow. From there, the humans joined the Sangheli in dining on Kolo and Kuskatu. John, Kelly, Fred, Linda and Halsey went off on their own for a time to talk. When John rejoined the rest of the gathering, he asked Palmer what had become of the Guardian which reportedly arrived to disrupt power across large regions of the planet. She admitted she wasn't entirely sure. Later on, John took part of the night to reminisce and catch up with Thel, who told him that he had received reports of it and Promethean soldiers pacifying cities on the other side of Sanghelios that were proving to be openly hostile to Cortana's ultimatum. Everyone was awake around an hour before sunrise, and all the humans piled into the Pelican. The Arbiter bid John farewell, and while the two clasped arms, expressed his confidence that they could stand against this new threat as they had stood together against the Hierarchs and the Covenant. John thanked him, and then they were off, soaring through and then past the planet's atmosphere on a trip that took them a few hours. John advised everyone to keep an eye out for the Guardian should it reappear. With about 20 minutes until the Infinity's projected arrival, Fireteam Osiris broke out a game of hearts, but John and the others declined playing. When Infinity finally did show up, Kelly landed India 127 in its 5th portside bay. The Spartans were met by a lieutenant who announced that Halsey, Locke, Palmer and John were wanted on the bridge. As the rest of Blue Team went to have their armour removed, John accompanied those three to meet with Captain Lasky. In late November 2558, the Banished arrived at Installation 00 and the bastards have made a complete and utter mess of my installation. On February the 10th, 2559, Oni's Materials Group created the new suit of 3rd generation Mjolnir armour for John. In late March of 2559, the Spirit of Fire arrives at Installation 00 and thus the events of Halo Wars 2 takes place. Dr. Halsey made modifications to John's suit of Gen 3 Mjolnir on September the 19th, 2561. At some point following this, a lone Pelican pilot who had been stranded in his dropship Echo 216 above a partially destroyed Halo ring was alerted to the presence of a friendly signal, and so begins the trailer to Halo Infinite. We can draw a few interesting conclusions from this information, the most interesting of which is the timeline. In the Slipspace Engine demo, we find the date 27th of May 2560, on the center console of a Pelican groundside on Zeta Halo. Chief's Gen 3 armour was modified by Halsey on September 19th, 2561, which Chief was found floating in space with sometime after this. 16 months, or more specifically 480 days after we know the UNSC are on Zeta Halo, which in itself indicates the UNSC has been on Zeta Halo for well over a year by the time we find John floating ominously in space, and the amount of time which has passed between the final events of Halo 5 and the known modifications of Chief's Gen 3 is just under 2 years, or 691 days. It would be very interesting to know how much time has passed between these modifications and Chief being retrieved by Brohammer, and also equally interesting finding out the exact course of events which led to the UNSC Infinity from being in orbit above Sanghelios to its arrival at Zeta Halo. One would assume, since it is now confirmed that Chief was aboard the Infinity prior to its arrival at Zeta Halo, from this we can deduce that the Infinity travelled to Zeta Halo at some point, and due to its ability to ferry and field large, powerful task forces across space, it established a strong UNSC presence on Zeta Halo. Chief's armour being upgraded to Gen 3 makes sense now due to the presence of the Infinity, and thus being able to upgrade with Infinity's substantial Spartan facilities on board. I still find it interesting that the Marines that we see in the trailer on Halo do not appear to be armoured similarly to the Marines that we have seen on Infinity, actually being armoured more akin to the Marines we have seen aboard the Spirit of Fire, but that may just be me getting gushy over the idea of the Spirit of Fire and the Infinity uniting, the very old coming together with the very new. I love the idea of Red Team, and more specifically Jerome, getting fitted with modern armour courtesy of Infinity, and imagine Cutter and Lasky getting some one-on-one time. Okay, I'm getting distracted again. This is going to have to go into another video, but for now, I think I'll leave this here, as we have now covered all of the known information about what happens between the ends of Halo 5 and the events of the Infinity trailers. Which leaves me to say, thanks for watching. Stick your comments down below, I look forward to what you have to say. I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons, so Tenchi, the Silent Cartographer, Brian, Sebastian, Redsea, Darian and Neek, the holders of the mantle, Ty, Black Biscuit, J Rabbit, Austin, Kaiser, Silux, Reclaimer216, The Revanche, Wolf Slim and Andre, my Reclaimers, Zach, Deep Cover, Verbal Statue, Spesico, Spartan A498, Guppy, Josh, Mickey, Bastian, Molchar, Slithery Tube Dude, Nightrise, Sierra G059 and Alfarius, my Metarchs, and all the other patrons that have jumped aboard to support the channel. You guys are awesome, and all of this wouldn't be possible without you. If you like Halo lore discussed to insane levels of detail, hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon so you're told the second a new video hits the shelves. Be sure to support us on all major social media channels, including Discord, and if you really love the channel, consider heading over to Patreon and supporting the channel over there. It would mean the world to me and would free up more of my time for me to put into this content and other Halo-related goodness. Take it easy, everyone, and find peace in the domain.